drastic action against New York City. What kind of actions are you looking at, and will the ICE deportations continue?
Well, I think you have to look. If he is a communist, you know there's not going to be a lot of activity. So you wouldn't need bridges and tunnels and all the different things that were being planned for New York, I think. And look, I hope New York does well. That's all I can say. I love New York. I grew up in New York. I did well in New York.
What are you saying? I have seen the National Guard in DC, yes. Brother, what does that even mean? Like, I mean, I know what he's trying to say. He's trying to say the guy's a communist, and therefore I'm going to shut down all of the existing infrastructure projects that we were funding, where there was budget allocation for, by the way. Not that, like, Trump is personally funding it. He's not a god. He's not a king. He's saying he's going to stop the previously allocated funds that are supposed to go to building roads and bridges in New York State, specifically in New York City. He's saying he's going to try and stop it.
She stood up, she gripped the arm of a fellow lawmaker, she steadied herself, she posed for a group photo, and then she went to the hospital for them to treat her for a broken hip. It is that strength that...
Oh, sick. Wow, what a story of perseverance, dude. Overcoming great odds. Yeah, man, my grandma did that too. I don't think she should be one of the most powerful women in the country, you know? A position that requires dynamism. And even my grandma, especially in that moment of being reminded of her own mortality, would probably not call in to ensure that an 80-year-old cancer patient, Jerry Connolly, becomes the fucking oversight committee head, only to die shortly thereafter. Because that's what she did. She literally made phone calls from the hospital bed being like, hey, do not mistake this reminder of my personal mortality with any sort of interest in breaking the current gerontocratic seniority process that we have. I am more I am more confident than ever before that we must have even older people in key positions of power in the Democratic Party. That's what she said.
Democrats so often rallied around, and now this is a new era.
Are you that supports Hitler? No. Yeah, speaking of Nancy Pelosi, earlier in her career, Nancy Pelosi actually advocated for single-payer health care. That was until she realized how much money she could make being corrupt and serving corporate interests. She will retire as just another corrupt politician who used the government to enrich herself. Or more accurately, until she realized it meant kicking union members out of their better healthcare plans and shutting down the Veterans Administration and appending Medicare. I love this fucking argument so much. Oh, well, how will unions have an upper hand? Like, how will we get people to join unions if everybody has healthcare? I don't know. Maybe they get to advocate for different benefits instead. There's still plenty of benefits that they could demand. Now the healthcare is taken care of. It's like saying we shouldn't have OSHA regulations because that way unions can collectively bargain for additional safety measures. We shouldn't have the fucking 5-day work week. That way unions can continue maintaining the 5-day work week, and then non-unionized employees can work for 7 days a week. Okay.
Science and creating high-value jobs. But today we... Oh, are you okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
They put, dude, this is what happens when he stands near JD Vance, brother. That's what happened. Wait, replay it? I missed it?
For nearly 150
this
years,
guy, look.
My company, Eli Lilly, has been investing in America. We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs. But today, we... Oh, are you okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
RFK dipped? Wait, what? Where is RFK?
That we've been speaking about.
Why are you guys saying RFK dipped? RFK's right here.
That can fundamentally America. We've been oh, are you okay? Gordon, you okay?
Oz rushes towards him. Where does RFK go? Do you guys have a better angle? I need to see his motion. Why did he run away? Is he the one responsible? What the fuck?
Creating high-value jobs. But today, we... Oh, you okay? Gordon, you okay?
What the fuck? Dude, it's an admin full of sickos, dude. That's so funny. It's definitely the opposite. It's definitely the opposite response that you would expect of someone. Like, it's just like a not human thing to do. Why did he just go the... Bro, he walked away like he did it. He walked away like he was responsible, bro. Look at this.
You okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, but he probably was looking for help. I'm assuming he was looking for help. He probably ran over to get help, but to make sure that the help didn't bring Tylenol. Because, like, if someone else went to get help, they might have accidentally brought Tylenol. Newsmax's immediate response to the medical emergency at the Oval Office, President Trump, we want to be clear, is okay.
So you're looking live right now. President Trump, we want to be clear, is okay. We know that Dr. Oz, there was some sort of medical emergency. The president in the Oval Office announcing this historic agreement draft.
None of the important people in the room are in any danger. Don't worry. This is the best. This actually is the best photo. This is the photo I was talking about. This is the defining photo of this administration.
Mr. President, given these modifications that are being made to air travel, the other disruptions with the government shutdown, do you think it's time for Republicans in Congress to change their negotiating position at all?
In what way?
To start making concessions to Democrats?
Well, I think it's time for them to end the filibuster and just put everybody back to work. Vote in voter ID, vote in no mail-in voting except for military, faraway military, and people that are very sick. I'd like to see one-day voting. I'd like to see not 65 days of voting from all over the place. No, I'd like to clean up the elections. The border, we've done a great job. We have a great, strong border now. But I'd like to see new rules on immigration that can be fair and good, you know, but rules that you'll never get, rules that they're never going to get. There's so many things we could put in, including tax cuts that we could get, and we could do it all ourselves. But to do that, you have to end the filibuster. The filibuster...
I'm going to be honest with you. Fuck it, why not? Controversial opinion. I've given up on the Democrats doing this ever. So I'm glad that the Republicans are doing it. Let them do it. Guess what? Guess what? Right now, you're going to say, oh, but the filibuster could be used as a tool to stop their legislative agenda. Brother, they are not even using the congressional powers at all. Fox News, Zohran puppet turns on him. What do you mean? He's currently doing whatever he wants to without even using Congress. The only time the Democrats used the filibuster was for Cory Booker to pee in a diaper. Whatever Trump wants. In terms of his legislative agenda, he already pushes through the executive office. So at the very least, if the filibuster is gone, then that changes the dynamic of Congress altogether. The Senate would just be a smaller house. The filibuster currently is a conservative tool that Republicans use to undermine the agenda of the Democrats, because the Democrats need to build. The Democrats need to pass legislation, they need to fund things. And the Republicans will use the filibuster as a tool, which, by the way, they don't even fucking use. They don't even actually use the filibuster in the way that they're supposed to. You only saying this because it won't affect you? Sick of you? Chatter, what do you think the filibuster is, man? Bro, that's so funny. He just said, oh, yeah. Yeah, you would. You would want the filibuster to be abolished. You fucking asshole. Like, only because it doesn't affect you. The way the filibuster is supposed to work is that it's a process method to basically stop a bill from being passed with a simple majority in the Senate. Because the only way to override the filibuster is a vote that requires more than just a simple majority, okay? And normally, the only way that you're supposed to do it historically is by standing on the floor of the Senate and delivering a speech, okay? Uninterrupted. Stop eating, bro. Stop eating, holy stow. No, I will not stop eating. I'm going to continue eating, chatter. I'm hungry. My food's not even here yet. I'm just snacking right now. I'm doing the snack segment. But after the snack segment is over, you will see me eating like actual food as well. But in any case, Uncle Sam's talking about nuking the filibuster. I would need this guy to explain. I need this guy to explain what he means when he said, you only saying this because it won't affect you. Sick of you. Like, he needs to explain to me why he's Mr. Advocate for the filibuster.
Okay, but let's just be clear here.
Oh.
So first off, there's a couple things. Trump just admitted that it's Republicans who are standing in the way of any type of legislation going forward, right? They have the ability to get rid of the filibuster. They can do this. And then he says, we're going to pass our agenda. What is our agenda? Nothing, except for trying to ensure that we can win the midterms.
Exactly.
I mean, literally nothing. This is also why it would be good for the Republicans to get rid of the filibuster, because Democrats will never do it on their own. They're too cowardly.
Yep.
They're too cowardly. They're too cowardly. And Republicans are afraid of getting rid of the filibuster too, because once you get rid of the filibuster, you actually, as a political party, have to own your decisions. You have to own them. Let's get rid of the filibuster and allow the Republicans to do what they're...
Yes. And a part of the reason why Sam is saying this, and I agree with him on this, is because Republicans already get their fucking agenda across anyway. Like, they're currently passing everything through the executive mandate. Like, it's insane because Republicans don't necessarily need the great deliberative body to, especially when they're in power, they don't need the great deliberative body of the Senate to enact out their agenda. Their agenda is deregulation. Their agenda is tax cuts. They already passed the tax cuts. They did that with simple majority through the funding mechanism, so it doesn't matter. For that reason, they low-key are doing whatever the fuck they want to do without the filibuster. So the filibuster in and of itself is only going to be a hurdle for the Democrats down the line if they ever get back into power.
Judge John McCall criticized the Trump administration for making partial payments, saying, quote, people have gone without for too long. Not making payments to them for even another day is simply unacceptable. So for more on this, I want to bring in ABC News Washington, D.C. Bureau Managing Editor Catherine Falders, who has been covering this. And Catherine, it's really notable just how much of a rebuke Judge McConnell made here.
Yeah, it really is. It was quite striking. Of course, he probably went, Alex, as far as I've seen any federal judge go, at least in the past few months, over a direct rebuke to the president himself, saying that he believed that Trump expressed this intent to defy a court order. Now, remember, of course, this all comes because McConnell, the judge, had ordered the Trump administration to make these payments. They said they could partially fund these payments. Basically, what happened here is the judge said he was not satisfied with the partial payments that the administration said they could make, and then the obstacles that the administration said that were getting in the way of paying it, meaning they couldn't do it for 2 or 3 weeks or maybe even months. Now, what was so striking to me about this is the judge said the Trump administration ignored his order, of course, to restart the SNAP payments quickly, but the judge attributed that to the president attempting to disrupt the payments for called political reasons here. So very unhappy with the way this was handled. Now, I will say we haven't heard from anybody in the Trump administration yet on this. I could imagine that the Department of Justice may be preparing papers to appeal this ruling. We'll have to go out tomorrow, and that people's cards will be reloaded. I can't imagine that it would happen that quickly. We're at close of business today, but we'll just have to see what happens here next.
Well, and one of the things that we've heard from, a lot of these food pantries where that service SNAP beneficiaries is, even if the faucet's cut back on, there's likely going to be some confusion and some time there. But Catherine, listen, this judge was one of the ones that blocked that another Trump 2.0 executive action earlier this year. He had recently spoken out publicly about 6 credible death threats directed at him in the wake of that. Listen, this is pretty rare seeing a judge speak publicly like this. What more do we know? And is it a surprise that he made this ruling?
Look,
It's so insane that this is how we operate. This is just what our politics is now. Oh, you went up against my God as a judge? Well, here's some death threats. There's a good chance SCOTUS will rule against him on the tariffs. Is there any chance he could finally be impeached and removed if he openly defies them? I feel like just defying a federal judge on SNAP won't be enough. Brother, the sky is the limit. Are court orders anything? Yes, you go to prison. You can be held in contempt of court and go to jail.
Airports across the country are bracing for even more flight cancellations and delays.
Oh,
After the FAA announced
I had this experience this morning, by the way. I had the FAA experience, chatters. I flew in from LaGuardia, which is, of course, a smaller airport than JFK. And while we were sitting on the fucking tarmac, I got cooked. We got a 40-minute delay.
will cut 10% of flights at dozens of major airports.
Our sole role is to make sure that we keep this airspace as safe as possible.
Experts say airlines would be forced to cancel thousands of flights nationwide in the coming days.
What will this mean practically for air travel? Is this going to lead to more flight delays, more cancellations?
Well, I think it's going to lead to more cancellations. We're going to work with the airlines to do this in a systematic way.
ABC News obtaining the list of the 40 airports that will be impacted. From the nation's busiest airport, Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson, to LAX, Dallas, JFK, Miami, Detroit, and DCA here in Washington. Air traffic controllers have been forced to work without pay during the government shutdown, leading to staffing shortages, delays, and ground stops. More than 60,000 TSA workers also missing their paychecks, creating long lines and wait times at security checkpoints.
We're petrified. We are concerned.
At Dulles International Airport, FAA radar technician and union rep Cleverson Schmidt says the strain has reached a breaking point.
So you were already short-staffed.
Correct.
And how much worse has the shutdown made it?
It's exponentially made it worse because we're exhausted now.
And how much does that compromise air safety?
Every day it goes up. That compromise goes up every single day.
Sources say the FAA will start cutting 4% of flights starting tomorrow and ramp up throughout the weekend. The CEO of Frontier Airlines now encouraging passengers to buy backup tickets on separate airlines after flying in the next 10 days. Experts warning of massive headaches for travelers.
I'm sorry, what do you mean? Just fucking cancel the flight. Like what? Oh, you want to get back? You want to get back home? Just buy multiple tickets? That's crazy. No, dude, it's up to you to fucking limit the number of flights that you are making available. Like what? What do you mean? Buy backup tickets? What the fuck? I hate this country, bro. I swear to God. He said, hey, you want to fly back home? Sorry, gotta buy 2 tickets now instead of 1. Yeah, airlines already do overcapacity sales too in order to fucking max out on their profits.
This is going to be an unimaginable, unprecedented, unwelcome, unpleasant level of chaos. If you don't have to fly starting on Friday, please don't. Stay home.
So if you are traveling in the next few days, here is what you can expect. More delays and more cancellations. These restrictions begin tomorrow. They're going to ramp up over the course of the weekend and into next week. The Transportation Secretary even saying he may be forced to close parts of the U.S. airspace as this government shutdown continues. Now, some airlines like United are offering customers full refunds if they decide they do not want to travel, even if their flights are not impacted. But if you do decide to keep your flights, you are going to want to show up to the airport extra early. You're going to want to keep checking to make sure that your flight is still scheduled to take off, Michael.
Yeah, this is affecting so many people, Rachel. And Rachel, we're now learning that a government program that helps millions with energy assistance is being suspended.
Yeah, and this is definitely a gut punch, Michael, to so many across the country because millions of low-income Americans are already worried about whether they're going to receive their SNAP benefits, that federal food assistance program. And now the Trump administration announcing that it is halting funding due to the government shutdown for an energy program that helps low-income Americans, about 6 million of them, pay their heating bills. Of course, this comes as we are approaching winter and the colder months, and as this shutdown drags into day 37, Michael.
All right, Rachel, thank you all, as always, for your great reporting. We appreciate you.
Right Youth at a Seoul Spanish Immersion Early Learning Center had just opened for the day. Parents were dropped.
What the fuck is wrong with your country? How can the government just choose to shut down? What the fuck? It's not a real country. What do I say to that? I mean, you're right. It's a fucking clown show, dude. I don't know. Every day that I watch this administration move the way that it does is another day where I'm coming closer and closer to this thing that I otherwise would have considered a conspiracy theory before. But now I think it is the truth. They want riots. I think they want riots. They want riots so they can violently put the riots down so they can do martial law. I genuinely think we're trying to do a riot. Like the admin is trying to push and push and push and push until something takes place, you know, until people say enough is enough and there's mass instability, and then they violently put down said mass instability, and then they use that as a justification for martial law, all of that good stuff. News. Dems are inclined to keep their shutdown fight going, according to multiple people familiar. Republicans are weighing a funding vote tomorrow, but Democrats are leaning towards blocking it at this point without more reassurance on ACA and federal workers. Dems don't think ours have moved at all since Tuesday's election. Ours say they can guarantee an ACA vote, not an outcome. It makes a lot of sense for us to come together on a joint strategy than have division in the caucus, says Senator Murphy. What's really interesting is that Bernie Sanders is one of the boldest names in this fight. He has straight up said, no, not just the bill. Like, you're going to pass it? And Trump is going to give assurances that he will not veto the funding. I really hope they stay the course. I'd call my senator, but he's fucking John Fetterman. Oh, God. I'm sorry, dude. That's so ass. Love that guy. Great analysis. I mean, things are looking so good that fucking Dana Fash is like shitting on Trump.
The Republican senators he was talking to should be eating some crow. If he was not willing to step up to eat any, he clearly realized his party does have a problem here on the shutdown. And he was tying that, you know, in the days before the election, he's been urging them to change the filibuster rules. And he's been seeing this shutdown as a real political problem. There is no doubt that that was an overlay of what happened. But so too has been the last 10 months of Trump's second term. That also is a major overlay of what was happening and voters were responding. And you know, we ask, Dan, and we say, like, was Trump a factor in your vote in New Jersey and Virginia? Now, for roughly half of voters in those states, they say no, he wasn't a factor. But when he was a factor, it was 2-1 in opposition. He drove a lot of the Democratic turnout that we saw yesterday.
Yeah, Dana, I mean, your point about the way the president is accepting or deflecting blame, I think one of the biggest differences between Trump and other presidents is that he is more than happy to blame his own party as long as it's not him, right? It's not, that's why what he said about the shutdown was so remarkable, where, you know, Democrats had a great night. If anything, they've been, you know, handed the opportunity to dig in farther on that. They've been essentially told, you know, keep fighting. The president could, you know, have dug in as well. But what I was hearing from sources, Republicans were like, this is going to mean that people are going to start to give. They're going to start to figure out a way out of this.
Okay, so maybe the right way to say it is that he didn't eat crow, but he served it to them for breakfast. Zohran, nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
This isn't just about the governor's races or the mayor's race in New York or even Prop 50 in California. This went so wide and so deep, way, 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 way down ballots. Virginia, the blue wave went to the State House. In Georgia, 2 seats on the Georgia Public Service Commission were flipped. 3 Pennsylvania Supreme Court justices were retained. In Connecticut, Democrats scored big municipal races, and they flipped Republican seats.
Right. It was down ballot. And in those big races we were talking about, particularly for the mayoral race in New York, you also saw a record turnout that we haven't seen in decades. This was especially somewhat surprising to me just when I look at the conversations that I had with voters during the last presidential cycle, particularly younger voters. You would pick up on a certain almost malaise, like a sense of almost people giving up on the democratic system, giving up or questioning whether their vote actually amounted to something. Now, I mean, look, in many cases, like the tough part now begins for these people that have run these campaigns, but I think you can still have a takeaway of whether it was the frustration with Donald Trump, the broad coalition building, or a focused message on affordability rather than the existential topics that people may not be able to digest. People resonated and they went to the ballot box. They were actually moved and motivated to cast their vote. And that was something that, based off the last election, I think particularly for the Democratic Party, was a concern.
I'm glad you mentioned young voters, and I want to drill down even more on the demographic and talk about male voters, ages 18 to 29, and look at the way that...
Yeah. Mamdani cooked. Speaking of cooking, here's our boy Ested on CNN talking about voter resentment of Den's leftward turn.
Don't like him.
That's right.
Just one point on the question of being able to paint Democrats as too far left, which Republicans have done successfully. I mean, it's the reason Donald Trump is in office, but those issues specifically, at least in my reporting, when I was talking to people, were almost always on kind of like cultural issues, right? This was almost always about trans women in sports, for example, or kind of backlash against DEI or wokeness or things like that. That's not really Zohran Mamdani. That's not really Bernie Sanders. That world is willing to have the...
Yes. Oh my God, I'm glad that someone is saying this. Now, the thing is, on the cultural front, this doesn't mean that the Democrats need to retreat, okay? But they need to serve some steak. You can't just serve vegetables. You got to give the people steak, okay? And the problem is the Democrats are perceived as like an annoying, woke, scold, boring, entitled, smug, woke party because they have so cynically at times just weaponized the identity lines over and over again without offering any kind of broad class first policies. They have not centered working class issues in a way that is definable, in a way that is easy to digest, with tangible policy prescriptions. Being socially to the left of the broader electorate is fine. It's normal and even good, honestly, as long as you have something that you're offering the people. If you're offering them nothing and you're just also calling everybody racist, then people are gonna be like, all right, fuck you, even if they are objectively racist.
fight about left, right, center, because they think that puts them back on economic terms, which is a better place to be than the kind of cultural forward issues. The part of the Democratic Party that became most obsessed with representation, most clearly talking about identity politics, was not the left. The biggest part of that shift in 2020 was a center, more establishment part of the Democratic Party. And
The educated
yes,
voters,
yes, the
the
college educated,
college-educated
and that's
folks,
the part that Trump,
Yeah.
that's the part that Trump backlashed against. So I'm saying, I would not say it's fair to put on Mamdani or Sanders just the party has gone too far left, and if they embrace that, that means Republicans get to win, because they're...
Because Mamdani was uncompromising. Zohran Mamdani was uncompromising on trans issues. There was never a moment where he was like, yeah, we got to throw trans people on under the bus. Now, you could say, oh, well, he's in New York. He can get away with it. And sure, there is some truth to that. But that only becomes an issue if you let it be an issue. That only becomes an issue if you don't have other policies. There was never even a moment that neither Cuomo nor Curtis Sliwa brought up the trans stuff. There was never even a moment where Fox News brought up the trans stuff. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because he had a laundry list of things that he wanted to accomplish, and that forced the conversation around those issues. And when those issues are universal and those issues are helpful for the largest number of voters, you don't want to look like you're the guy saying, no, people don't deserve fast and free buses.